I just couldn't see myself doing a 9 to 5 forever. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, no.
But I didn't want to do it. I'd prefer not to be there Monday morning and Friday afternoon.
Some days it's pretty, some days it's glamorous, but like most days, it's just another day. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the YCGM podcast. We're back again. Today we have a very special guest, one of my favorite people in the world, Nick Buck. And I want to welcome you to the YCGM podcast. Remember, no place, no thing, no circumstance can keep you from doing what you want to do and becoming who you want to be. Let's hop right in. Nick, welcome to the podcast. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Middle of production, so
You're taking a break from production?
Yeah, taking a break.
Okay, I appreciate the time, man. How's the team moving today?
Pretty good. We have 1/3 of our closers on, so it's a little bit of a lighter day today.
As far as demos or just production in general?
Just volume of people coming in. Usually we have anywhere from like 6 to 8 people per every 30 minutes coming.
Yeah.
Today we only have 2.
Okay. Perfect. Good stuff. So I know a lot about you. I want the world to know more about Nick Buck. And so let's go back to this is going to be the hardest question for me to answer, but I'm going to ask it to you. Who is Nick Buck?
It's a good question. Who am I? I guess like personality wise.
Just who are you? I mean, like where do you come from? What did you? I know you have an incredible journey as someone who studied mechanical engineering. Just like how would you tell your story?
I got you. Yeah, I would say starts off like the background is military family, so little all over the country, from the Northwest all the way down to, I guess now over to the East Coast. But I never thought I'd be on the East Coast. So
East Side.
East Side, yeah. That was the thing. I was like, I'll never live on the East Coast.
For real?
Yeah, because when I think of East Coast, I think of like New York.
Yeah.
I just don't like New York. So
yeah, for sure.
So
where we are is a lot different than New York, for sure. Yeah.
So I grew up for most of my life in Oklahoma. Went to college in Arkansas. Did engineering because that's what I was told I should do.
Yeah.
It's more of like my parents were like, yeah, you're smart enough to do it, so you might as well do it and make money.
Yeah.
They didn't know a different way.
You get a high-paying job, though,
yeah,
as a mechanical engineer, right?
Sometimes.
Or not.
Yes and no. It depends where you're at and what you do. I found that I thought that I would get a high-paying job, and all the engineers I knew personally were paid very well.
Right.
But since being actually in here and helping engineers get out of engineering, they all made less than I thought.
Yeah. You think at the time it was almost like I was talking to Ashley yesterday about like doors being unlocked for you, and there's like new levels to what you thought is possible when you're younger or when you don't know any better. $60,000 a year sounds good, and it's not as bad, but it sounds like a lot of money. At least for me, it did, and it's just one of those things. As you grow bigger, you just realize more that's possible as you level up. Is that what you're saying there, or just a little bit different?
I would say even more like actually literally I thought they
don't get paid a lot. You actually just the data was wrong.
Yeah, like the senior engineers are getting like the ones I knew they're getting like 350K, so it's pretty good. But then the ones that we're helping actually get out of engineering, they're making like $4,000 a month in California.
Right.
You can't live off that. They were still living with their moms, stuff like that, as like full-time engineers. I was like, what?
Right. So So you go to college to be an engineer or a mechanical engineer. What gets you into this online space of digital closing, or what was kind of like your journey? That's
a good question. As far as college goes, I did a typical college route, was doing fine. I was doing really well at grades, and then I did an internship sophomore year going to junior year for a company, and I made them a lot of money. That's pretty much what happened. So I was supposed to just start off inputting data as a resume builder. So I was just getting like minimum wage, like $8.50 an hour.
Of course.
Which I was cool with. I was like, whatever. I wasn't doing anything else. And so then I ended up, their engineer left when I got there, like 7 days after I got there. So the owner came up to me and was like, hey, do his job for me. I got this thing coming in. We got to get it done. I was like, okay. I didn't realize I could have probably negotiated a salary from that. Didn't really think
Is this a big company?
I would say it's relatively big. Yeah. Bigger than most people will ever see, but probably I wouldn't say like what you think of a big company.
Yeah, I got you.
But they just landed the New York Railroad as a contract.
Yep.
And so they were doing all like the blinking red lights, all the electronics for it. And so I set up the operations for that. And then at the end of 3 months after I set it up, the owner came up to me and was like, hey, you just made me $1.8 million in profit per year. And I was like, solid.
Are we going to dinner?
He gave me, $3,000 over 3 months. And I was like, that's not very much. So I went back to college. And after that, I was like,
how is he not dying to keep you on?
Don't know. I think he assumed I was going to come back.
Yeah.
They did offer me.
Yeah.
They never called me, but they told me, the plant manager, and I knew the plant manager. He's like, hey, did they ever call you? They were going to give you a job offer. And I was like, he's like, and actually the funny thing, the plant manager was like, I think you should decline it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
That's all I need to know. Heck yeah. So you're working for this engineer, or as an engineer for this company in college still, right?
Yep.
And then what's the transition to the online space?
Yeah. So really like the company is awesome. But for me, it was like, I want the 1.8 million profit. Because, at that point, he wasn't even doing the work. He closed the deal and then that's it. So I wanted to do that. So I got into the online stuff, like how to make money. I just couldn't see myself doing a 9-to-5 forever. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, no.
But I didn't want to do it. I'd prefer not to be there Monday morning and Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
So for me, I just went down the whole rabbit hole. Amazon FBA, dropshipping. I did all of it. I actually had success with each one of them as well. So I know a lot of people just say that it didn't work.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I spent like $11,000 on dropshipping. I did get money back. I made like $4,000 back. So I didn't succeed in like the fact of profit, but it works. What I figured out was, and what people don't tell you, is business models take a lot more effort. You got to know marketing, you got to know business development. You have to know every single moving part to make the thing work. I didn't know any of the moving parts.
And a lot of capital.
A lot of money as well. So
that was your first taste.
Yeah.
And this was, what were you selling?
I made probably 10 stores.
Okay.
I sold knee braces.
Great.
That worked. It was actually heated knee braces. So like it turns on like a heat pad for your knee. It's cool.
Yeah.
I sold the one thing I did sell that actually found out it was a winning product, but the Facebook banned me. So that's the other thing, ads, was a sleep pillow. You ever slept, put something between your knees, your legs when you're sleeping sideways? It was a little leg pillow.
Act like you got a boo, but you don't.
Yeah.
Just one of those little night cuddlers.
Yeah, one of those little. Make sure you know you're lonely. Yeah.
Yeah, the lonely.
It talks
pillow.
to you too. You press a button, it'll be like, "You're loved. You're appreciated." No,
That'd be a good night. That'd be a good name for it. The lonely pillow.
Well, so I sold that. That was doing pretty well actually. The ads looked really great.
Target audience 50 years old, single. Recently divorced.
I was thinking more like 18 to 24. Dorms. No, I'm kidding. But that did really well. They banned me for I guess I had too much, it showed someone's spine rotating correctly in the ad. And they said that's
too triggering.
I don't know. Something. But I found out later, one of the guys told me that they sold the same thing and they made a lot of money from it. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Found that out later, like a month or two later. But anyways, so I sold a couple different things. Then went to Amazon FBA. I was selling hand sanitizer dispensers before, right when COVID started. So there's one competitor on Amazon FBA. Amazon FBA, again, great platform. It definitely works. We sold about half of them, but it took them 3 months for us to approve us to sell them on Amazon. And by that time, there was hundreds of people.
Yeah. That was mask or hand sanitizer?
Hand sanitizer dispensers.
Okay.
So those automatic ones that you see everywhere, we sold them on Amazon.
Hell yeah.
And so we got our money back on that about. So hit or miss on that.
I want to ask you, and I know shortly you're about to go into digital closing, but let's come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how you fumbled. I'm not going to say you fumbled, but I want to hear the story of the time that you missed out on
a lot of money.
At minimum, a $500,000 a month deal. Not once, not twice.
Yeah.
But 3 times.
Not to
rub it in. And
that's not even revenue, that's profit too.
Yeah.
So
what happened with that?
So that was the first thing. I didn't realize I was closing, but apparently I was.
You were already closing.
So I was the easiest sell they ever had in their life. This is why, if anyone ever tells you anything about money in a close, it's fake. And I know because I did it.
Yeah.
I saw this ad. It's like, hey, we saw all these things popping up in the corner. We're like, what's happening? Basically, it's vape stores. And so I've never vaped before. I've vaped before. I don't ever vape though.
Yeah.
So I wasn't into it. But I was in a fraternity. Everyone did it, and I didn't for some reason, just because I just didn't care to.
I'm with you. We might be the only two non-vapors
saved a lot of money.
alive.
My roommate did it, and unbeknownst to him, I actually kept every vape he used for a semester, and I put it in a drawer. And at the end of the semester, I pulled it out, and it was like thousands of dollars worth of vape. It was hilarious.
It's crazy.
It was hundreds of them. I was like, damn, man.
It's crazy.
But so I saw this program. The dude talked to me on the phone. He's like, yeah, it's $2,000. He didn't show me anything. And I was like, I just believe it works. So I actually called my dad because I didn't have $2,000. Called my dad and I was like, hey, this is an online thing. And he's a Air Force guy, works for the airlines right now. So he's like super like, there's probably a scam. I was like, yeah, but if you trust me, you'll do it. I was like, it's not you giving me $2,000. Like, it's a loan. Yeah. I will give it back to you. And he was like, okay. So he gave it to me and I just paid him. I just wired it over. It had 13 videos in the program and it said, call these vape stores and it had a one-line pitch. That's it. And then
you remember what it said?
Yeah, I was like, hey, you know, I sell I work with this company, my LLC, so they have you create your own LLC, and mine was Buck Vape Supply. Yeah, I work for Buck Vape Supply. I'm calling you because I think I could beat your price. I have some really good pricing. I think I could beat it. We work with 5,000 stores, so we order really bulk, and I think I could beat your pricing. That's it, pretty much. And so I called everyone around me, and they all kind of said no. Besides one store, I remember sitting in engineering ethics, and I got an email. You just made $50.
This is in Arkansas.
And so I did sell it to that. But basically what happened was the real value of the program was you got access to licensing to a distributor. So the distributor, I could go in and switch, and basically their website became my website. And so people could order off my website, swipe it, and I just put the prices on there, whatever I wanted it to be, and I got the difference. And they drop shipped it to the company.
Crazy.
So it had no inventory, anything like that. And they were saying like people were like getting 1 to 3% off the top of everything. I was greedy, so I went in there just preemptively, just basically, excuse the language, for shits and giggles. I went in there and put it at a baseline of 20% commission. Just I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm probably not gonna sell anything.
Did you just say excuse the language on for shits and giggles and said fuck it?
It was for both. It was for
okay.
both.
Okay.
And so then I was like, whatever, just in case I sell anything, I would rather get 20% of accident. And then I forgot about that. I did that. And what I ended up doing was I was looking up other places. Everyone said no to me pretty much, or they're all like food chains. And I was really terrified of calling them because a lot of them were like 13 person chains, 15 person chains. And I was like, that's too big. Like no one's going to, I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I ended up calling this one place. They said it had 17 locations. I called them. It was a young guy that answered the phone. He was about my age. And he's just like, oh, you know, we're probably not looking for it. I'll see. I'll talk to the owner. I'll talk to the owner. And I called him every single day for about a month to 2 months straight. And eventually I got a call from a random number. And for some reason I was like, I feel like this is them. And I answered it. And he's like, this dude, his name is Herman. Awesome guy. He's just like, yo, this is Herman. Who is this? That's what he said. Like, it's Nick. Well, you called me. Who are you? Yeah. And then he's like, I own Vapor Mape. And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, I know who you are.
I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm calling you. You keep calling my guys. Why do you keep calling me? I was like, I think I can help you. And he's like, I don't think you can. I was like, I think I can. And he's like, we get most of our stuff straight from China, straight from the manufacturer. I was like, so do we. He's like, the only difference is I have 5,000 locations. So with 5,000 location order volume, I think we can beat some of your stuff.
Give me your tone of voice where you're like, I have 5,000 locations.
Yeah, well, I think.
Did you think you matched it? Like, you think you matched the confidence at that time in your journey, or?
No, I think it was more of like I was just so. It was a muscle memory thing to say.
Yeah, you just had said it.
It was like that quick too. Like it wasn't like I got time to think about it. He's just like, well, why? And I was like, because I have 5,000 locations. And he's like, and he literally, like, this is how you know he's actually a good business owner, because he's like, you never know. Sure, come in.
Yeah,
that's what he said. He's like, I doubt you can, but you never know. And I came in there, and so I come in, and this was March of 2020. I go in there, and I sell him on this product, and he starts negotiating with me. And I'm like, and what I did, this is really smart too. I don't know how I knew how to do this, but I'm just beating myself up. But I'm just thinking back on it. I'm like, I don't know why I did this, but I went in there, and I sold them on a product they didn't have yet that was doing really well on the East Coast. I'm like, I don't know what their pricing is. I don't know how to negotiate their pricing. I don't know any of that. But I do know they don't have this product, and it's really doing really well in the East, on the East Coast because we're in Arkansas, and I know they have all the stores in the Central. So I was like, this is doing really well over there. I think you'll like it. So I gave them, and the reason I remember why I chose it. I had a sample in my sample box from one of those.
Yeah.
So I gave them the sample. I gave them all of them. It was like 16 of them, and they tried it for a week. I came back, and they just plopped this display box of all of the variations on there of that one, and they're like, hey, yeah, these people just hit us up, and they said they are the distributor for this company. They hit us up, and they're trying to sell us on this. Like, I thought you guys had this. And then they're like, where's this made? I was like, oh, it's made in China. It is made in China. I didn't know at this time. This is this is me just not knowing, but they had the sole rights to distribute that vape in the U.S. That company did, and I didn't know. So, and it is manufactured in China. So I just told him, I was like, it's manufactured in China just like everything else. And he goes, okay, yeah, we'll just go with you then. And I was like, okay. And so I started negotiating pricing. He's like, go talk to your boss. I'm sure there's someone above you. And I was like, okay, let me go call them real quick. Yeah. And I went and called my dad. He didn't answer. Yeah. And I just fake talked on the phone.
You're like in the hallway.
In a room. And I'm sure there's a camera. But I'm sitting there. I'm fake calling my dad because he didn't even answer. And I'm like, come on, man. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm just talking. I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is what they want it for. This is what I want it for. Remember, I put the basic model at 20% commission. They were ordering a test order of 10,000 units. Typically, they said they order up to 20,000 units per flavor, per variation of vape. So they're ordering 10 flavors. And so it's 20,000 units times 10. And I was like, dang. And so they negotiated down to a price. And my price they negotiated down to was still 10% commission. So I made 10% commission on this order. Went to go sign it. They're like, all right, cool. We just placed our order in. Come back next week, and we'll get it in, and we'll get it shipped out there. And I was like, perfect. So I come back next week. And on the day I was supposed to come back, they called me. COVID hit.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, all of our stores are shut down. We can't order anything. So COVID took away my first order ever from them. That was that story for that. That's the first one.
Second one,
I was persistent. I called them every single day.
You already knew you were in. You had
I was
price,
in. I had it. Had it all.
You had to close it. This is literally your first step of being a digital closer.
Yeah.
Right. Even when that wasn't even a thing. Like you didn't even know at that point.
I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know I was even doing sales.
Yeah.
I was just talking.
Right.
And then so I called him every single day. There's a girl named Rachel. It's their distribution manager. Called her every single day. She never answered me. I'd call like 3-4 times.
I know Rachel.
Yeah, you do know Rachel. And so I called her every single day. She loved me at the end. And she told Herman, that the owner, she's like, I think we just need to work with him at the end. She's like, we need this type of person with the company. Yeah. And so even they actually asked me if I was getting paid to do it because they're going to pay me just to be their person. I just told them I was. So they didn't pay me. But anyways, called them every day for 6 months. Finally, they're like, our stores are open. Come back in. I come back in. I thought I was just closing them on this one deal. And then they're like, what is that one? And I was like, oh, this is a different one. But it's a little bit slimmer version. It looked more like one of the popular ones that was going around right then. And it was cheaper. So I was selling them $3.10 for the big one, and it was $2.25 for the small one. And then he's like, okay, let's just do $2.25 for the small one instead. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta go see if I even have stock in this. And I had no idea what I put the pricing model at. Yeah. For that. So I was like, whatever. You don't say no, though. No. Like, he's like, I want 20,000 units of this. I was like, okay.
We'll get it for you.
Yeah. So I went back. It turns out I didn't have enough stock in it. I had exactly the amount of stock they were looking for everyone but one flavor. Had 906 units available instead of 1,000. And I just looked at Rachel and said, we'll do 900 units of this one instead. And she goes, okay. And so we ordered 10,000 units of that, all that stuff. I go and look, and it was $23,000. I thought I had 10% on it. So I was like, I just made $2,300 doing nothing, pretty much. And so I go home and I look at my bank and it had $4,600 in there. Yeah. And I was like, hold on. And I went and looked. Previously when I put everything at 20%, it was at 20% still. So I made 20% commission. Damn. On a $23,000 test order, and extrapolated to what they wanted to order if it worked. It was $650,000 a month profit for that one vape variation.
Why did it not? Did they not send you money?
So actually, it hit my bank. Oh, I forgot that this is.
Did they not send you the money? Actually, you closed the deal.
I swiped the card. It was like Amazon, so it was in my bank. FedEx, it's like 7-8 days later, they still had not gotten the product.
And you're having a heart attack.
I'm sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? So I called FedEx. They're like, yeah, no, we lost it. And I was like, you lost my order? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, you couldn't have done anything worse. And so I called them. I was like, this is what happened. And I just refunded them instantly. And then I called my distributor and I was like, you need to get more product in ASAP Rocky, like right now, because you're out of this and I need more. And I was like, if you can just get more. I was talking to the owner of the distributor company, actually. I was like, I have the biggest client out of any of yours right now. If you just work with me personally on it, screw everything else. If you just work, I will get you so much money. And he was like, okay, we'll try to get it done. And basically,
the trust was just not the trust, but just kind of almost all the stars aligned against you.
Yeah. So the crazy thing was, I thought it was done. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And I talked to Herman, and he was like, yeah, I mean, as long as the refund hits, we'll order again. And I was like, no way that they order again. Yeah. I had like such good affinity with him, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know why he was doing it, but looking back, I understand. Like just the persistence, I guess they're respected. Persistence,
and then it builds credibility when you're like, yo, here's $25K. Oh, it's going back to you. We didn't get it to you on time.
Yeah, so
there's something to say about that for sure.
Yeah, that's the persistence was crazy with it. Then a week after that, when I was waiting for the stock, I was trying to get the stock. The second wave of COVID hit is in the summer.
Yeah.
And the warehouse was based in New York, and New York shut down again, and they wouldn't let laborers go do anything. My distributor went out of business 6 months later.
Yep.
And so I never had.
But that's kind of all. That whole story right there is the second time.
The second time, yeah.
We haven't got to the third time yet. Fast forward maybe 3 years, 2 years, a year.
A year. Next year.
Year.
So I'm still calling Rachel.
You moved to Charlotte.
Yep.
We're doing our little deal, and we partner with a company called Happy Delta 8.
Delta 8.
And what happens?
Yeah, so this is now digital closing. Now I'm closing now. I'm working with Jack.
Yeah, and we'll go back and
it was 2 years.
I want to finish the three times you got robbed.
Yeah,
not robbed, but it fell through, and then we'll come back to.
Yeah, it's the best story ever for if anyone ever tells me that life's against them. I'm like, dude, you don't even know. They're like, oh, this happened. I'm like, bro, have a couple mil taken from you.
The deal was done.
The deal was in my bank account.
Yeah.
But
at least the first order, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it. It was over. I actually told my professors I made more than them at that point. It's funny. And then I was like, never mind. Yeah. Take it back. But so I called. I was like, we're doing Happy. It's a very similar product to what they would sell. And I was like, let me call Rachel. I'm going to call Rachel. I don't think she answered. Again, like typical Rachel fashion. But eventually she answered, and I was like, I have this product. So we flew out to Arkansas, let them try it out. They liked it. I came back in to get the check, actually. I was to close the deal. Like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll order. Go back in to get the check, and Texas temporarily bans the product we were selling.
Delta 8.
The day I went back to get the check, and they're like, we got to wait and figure out what happens. I'm like, fair enough. All good. Because most of their stores are in Texas.
And then just to round it off, Happy goes out of business.
Well, not even that. 7 days after the ban, they unbanned it.
That's crazy.
Yep. So and then I called them back, and they're like, "Hey, we decided to do it on our own."
Yeah.
I was like, "Fair, whatever."
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So
crazy story. I mean, that's part of your journey. It taught you a ton.
Yep.
The value of that may be worth more than what you. Well, probably not, but
probably millions
if it locked in. But so let's rewind a second. Where you're in college, you're doing all this, and that was your first taste of digital closing. What were the next steps that really got you into it officially?
So I was doing drop shipping.
Yep.
Again, I was trying to figure out anything I could possibly do not to.
I
had one
young
year.
hustler.
Young hustler, yeah. So that was going into my senior year. I was like 6 months from graduating and being an engineer, and it kind of scared me. Not scared in the fact that I was thinking about it, but scared in the fact that I was like, I don't know what it's even like. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to live. At this time, I still had a fiance. So I'm like, she wanted me to do all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. She wanted me to live in like middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. I have to go to school for like optometry. And I was like,
I don't know, bro.
I was like, I literally remember like, no, like I'm not living there. That sucks. So anyway, so we get it. One of the guys from the program, they did organic outreach. They hit me. They're like, hey, well, they were actually posting in the group. They're like, hey, I just did $50,000 in sales this month. I did $100,000 in sales this month. I'm watching the same dude. His name's Jay. He's cool as shit. But again, it's his language. But anyways,
you don't need to do that.
So he's posting on there, and I'm the type of person, like, if people are succeeding, I ask them what they're doing.
Right.
And so I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, I can't get this quite to work. I'm not really good at product research. I'm not really good at marketing. I understand it works. I just, like, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And he goes, to be real, I'm not even doing drop shipping. I'm doing closing. I said, what's that? He goes, well, my team just did $150,000 yesterday. You want to talk to them? I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
And be real. You were doing closing too.
Yeah.
You weren't doing drop shipping at that point. You were closing vape deals.
Well, this is in between it. So this is after the second one fell through. So I went back to drop shipping because I was like, I know it works. I just didn't know how to do it. And so I talked to their guy. Now I know what it is. I actually, him too. His name was Sean Adams. And he was the worst fact finder I've ever seen. But it worked. He straight up asked me, do I have $500? And I go, yeah. He's like, okay, cool.
Bet.
That's it. That was the whole call. And then he's like, I'm going to schedule you for a Zoom. I remember specifically not learning a single thing from that call. And it was about 30 seconds long. And I'm like, you must be so packed with calls to, like, not even, like, care at all.
Yeah.
But so he got me on with one of their guys, Dylan. We all know Dylan. And Dylan was like, if you don't make 60 grand, because I was like, I need to make 60 grand a year just to make around what an engineer would make to justify me not doing it. And he's like, if you can't make $60,000, then you're done, pretty much. He's like, you didn't try. And I was like, okay. But
I think he wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong either. However, it's interesting that he chose those words, because the person who closed me on drop shipping said the exact same thing to me. He said because the program entry fee was $500 for drop shipping. He's like, if you can't make $500 with drop shipping over Black Friday, he's like, you suck. I was like, well, I guess I suck because I did not make $500 in drop shipping over Black Friday. And so, like, I remember being like, I understand people can fail. I understand that it probably works for some people as well. I don't know if it's going to work for me. And I had exactly $1,803 in my bank account at that point after everything, and I still owed my dad $2,000.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't have the money, pretty much. I told him, give me 2 weeks, because I was expecting that second vape deal to still go through. And I was like, if it goes through, I can pay for the program, whatever. Not that I would anywhere at that point. But I was never going to come back. And I hopped off the call. And then the original guy, Jay, he called me back, and he was like, you need to do this. Are you more scared of, like, not succeeding, or are you more scared of, like, being an engineer pretty much for the rest of your life? And I was like, well, that's true. I'm more scared of doing engineering for the rest of my life. So I just texted over my credit card, got in.
Texted
it over, yeah.
Crazy.
To Dylan. Just texted him, said, charge me double, actually.
I'm not sure. They charge you double?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure they're that's PCI compliant.
I doubt it.
Hell yeah. So let's jump ahead a little bit. You and I link up.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing you've learned since, let's say, in the last 3 years? Let's say it's been that long. It's been a little bit under 2.5.
Biggest thing?
It's almost been 3 years and 2 months. September. Yeah.
Yeah.
2020 of, like, September, October maybe. What's the biggest thing that you've learned? Because now, just to give a little story on Nick, he went from closing by himself, to closing and managing a team, to just managing a team, probably not being very good at it.
Yeah.
Like everybody starts at, and then being a boss at it and running a multi-six-figure a month sales team.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you've learned the most? And there's probably millions. Is there one thing that stands out?
There's one thing that I think that covers everything, and it's just blame yourself for stuff. That usually fixes every other problem or anything else you can learn. Like, 'cause if, for example, if you're bad at building a team, if you blame yourself, you learn how to build a team.
Right.
So it all stems from blaming yourself, I think.
Yeah, just taking ownership of all. That's a big one.
And then I just caveat of that. It's like the same thing. It's like blame yourself, but also just like asking why someone says something. That's another big thing. Because I know a lot of people walk through life and people will say something to them and be like, yeah, you're wrong. That's not true. But if someone has that feeling or says something, there's some truth to it. They feel that way for a reason.
Right.
So it's better just to ask why and be like, oh, it's probably my fault. Something I said or did that's causing them to have this reaction. Now, do you care about the reaction and is it valid? Don't know. But it's still good to stop and think about it.
For sure. What's been harder to learn, how to close a deal or how to run a team?
I think it's almost the same because you're just like closing people every day. Yeah. So it's probably harder to run a team, depending on the people. Because if you have a team of really, really good people, it's probably easier to manage them because they kind of just manage themselves.
Right.
But if
it rarely happens like that,
almost never. You'd have to be really, really, really.
You got to build a group. You got to build the culture of people. They don't really just show up, but you kind of either way, you got to start from the ground up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sports team. Like you have really good talent, but if they're not in it to win it, then it doesn't matter. So the coach is like 30%, the people are like 70%. That's how I kind of feel it. I actually run the team kind of like a sports team. I get my
I think that's part of our culture.
Yeah, my part of my exasperation for things is just like, why are you not trying your hardest? Because I'm over here trying my hardest. Why would you not?
Yeah.
And so I feel that a lot. But yeah, I'd say probably managing a team is harder than closing.
What advice would you give to a new digital closer who's just starting out, who's like, yo, I want to make money online. My 9 to 5 is not fulfilling. I don't love it. I may not, I don't even know where to go, but I know this digital closing path is in front of me.
Yep.
What advice would you get? And I'm going to take it. What advice would you give to him?
I would say consistency is probably the most, or consistency and persistence.
Yeah, together.
So, that together is going to equal the highest chance of success because you're not going to, first of all, you're going to hit plateaus unless you have someone there to show yourself, or if you're open to trying new things while you're doing it. The only way you're going to get better and pass those plateaus is if you experience them enough times and try enough different ways or have a way to figure out past it. So like you're going to have like a 3 month, 6 month, 12-month plateau for sure. So can you get past those plateaus? Because if you can, you'll probably succeed forever. If you can't, then you'll have to start over from ground zero.
Yeah, it's just a frequency thing. Skills is such a, sales is a skill thing, but you can bypass not having a lot of skill with belief and just like you said, doing it every single day and showing up as the right person. I think that's the biggest thing. If I was giving advice to somebody, that's what I would say. What do you see being the next step for you?
Next step, I'd probably say growing.
Like, where are your next targets in?
Next targets.
We talk about a lot, but
I want to do a $500,000 a month. It's like the next target.
You've done that on paper.
Yeah.
But you haven't done that, I guess, in new cash collected.
Yeah, I went new cash collected $500,000 a month, not with recurrings or anything.
Right.
I want new cash collected. I want to be $500K. I want to have the team set up to a certain standard, like have the culture, have the standard in. And then the B2B side of things. What I've realized recently, it's another piece of advice for like new people, is a lot of times, and I've known this, but not in this way. It's the reason why engineers aren't ever millionaires, and this is something I took to heart when I heard it, was because I was an engineer. Was I guess excellence, perfectionism doesn't equate to success. You're never gonna be perfect anyways, and so like don't wait and be like, oh, I want to make sure I have this objection handled, this objection. I want all the objections handled before I go into it, because it'll never work that way. You'll never be perfect at it anyways. And so one of the biggest things we're going to be moving into soon is the B2B side of things, like moving into it. And part of the hesitation, I think for me personally, is like, well, how am I supposed to help these people if we haven't really done necessarily what we're trying to achieve yet either?
Yeah. It's like, is this journey finished before we go to another one? We've obviously done way better than thousands of other companies, but not have that same thing. It's not that I know we can help them, but is this current mission we're on complete? I think it's important to complete the mission.
Yeah.
In some ways, and then like to your point, sometimes you just go and do the shit.
Yeah. But my fear,
without sacrificing the mission, the original mission.
Yeah. So my fear, it wasn't even necessarily like the finish what we're doing currently. It's do they act like am I qualified enough to help someone? That's like a business.
Like the imposter syndrome type thing.
Yeah. And then what I did is I saw someone say that they're like helping companies they're doing multiple millions every single month. And they're like, we haven't even hit $100,000 a month yet. We're helping these companies that are doing millions of dollars a month, and we're better than them. And that just kind of clicked with me. I was like, okay, so it's not uncommon. You got to start.
You don't have to
from
make
there
more
anyways.
money. Yeah. But you may have a specific skill set that they don't have that you can insert that would be super valuable for them at that scale.
Yeah, so that kind of just justified it for me. It kind of clicked, and I'm pretty sure like within a week we closed our first like B2B deal.
Yeah. So I've been talking to a lot of companies, and a lot of them say, "Do you have any salespeople that are ready to go?" Like, do you have them like salespeople that are like have experience, which is obvious. You want to have somebody with experience, but have somebody that's already ready. We don't. The comment I hear, we don't want to train salespeople.
Yeah.
How important, as a digital sales, as a leader, executive, how important is training when you're running a sales team?
Yeah, that's like the most important thing because you train them every day. So if you don't do it for 3 hours, you're gonna get rusty. So if you don't have the lead flow of a completely full calendar, then they're gonna get rusty throughout the day, anyways. Not to mention they sleep at night, most of them. Sometimes they're just all coked out. No, I'm playing. But yeah, I mean,
this isn't Wolf of Wall Street, Nick. I know you think it is. Open your eyes.
Hey, it can be. Yeah, so you got to train them every day, anyways. And we actually just had someone on that they wanted to go with the training. It's like once a week for 4 weeks, certain amount of money every single time. And I just sat there and I was like, that makes no sense at all. And they're like, what? What do you mean? I was like, they're going to train them once a week before. I was like, that's cool. The average time average amount of time you have to tell someone to do something before they even retain it 7. So that means most people are like 14 times. Some people are like 4 times, and it equals 7. So if you meet 4 times, you're already none of the information you said is going to retain anyways on average. So everything you just did is wasted. Not to mention you're not meeting with them every single day, so not going to be trained on it. It's
you
waste
can't
of
train
money.
once a week and get better.
It's not possible. So
not at the level we like to move. Maybe over 5 years you could train once a week, and it's you'd see some consistent growth.
Yeah.
But how we do it, as you know, is through a huddle, and that's what I think most people don't even have implemented in.
Yeah.
What is our huddle? How has our huddle grown in the last? What have you done to really put some juice in it?
It's a great question. That I use what I was saying earlier about like it's my fault.
Yep.
Kind of situation. And what I noticed is that people would miss huddle. They wouldn't show up to huddle. The classic managing people problems. And what I really didn't want to do, and I think what a lot of people do, is they manage by punishment.
Yep.
It's like, hey, if you don't do this, this is gonna happen. But I don't want to punish them because I want them to perform. Yeah. That was like what I was running into.
You don't want to babysit.
I don't want to babysit. I also I'm just thinking, what could I do if someone doesn't show up to huddle? I'm like, well, I could take them off for the day. I'm like, hey, if you didn't show up to huddle, you just don't get to be here today. But I like to make money. I'm like, I need my people producing to make money. So it's counterproductive to what the company wants to achieve anyways, to punish them. So I wanted to create a way that I didn't have to punish them and they would show up to huddle. And the easiest way I could think of is if they just wanted to show up, they would. And I was like, okay, so I need to make it valuable. So I'm like, how do I make it more valuable for them? So they actually are like, I want to show up. Now what I've found, say the opposite, is that people will block off their calendar a little bit longer so they don't have to stop and call people during the huddle because they want to pay attention. Is what I found. Yeah. It's kind of good. Double-edged sword because I want to be
starting production right at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm like start production right after huddle, but at the same time I'm like, I kind of like that. That means it's doing it correctly.
Yeah, they're there. They're present.
Yeah, so we went from people wouldn't show up to we pretty much just checked in. Hey, this is the day. Let's get started. This is what the calendar looks like. Go. Do you have any questions? Anything we couldn't handle yesterday? And of course, everyone's like, no, everything went perfect yesterday. I'm like, we closed every deal we touched.
Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect.
Which obviously that would never happen.
Yeah.
So now we do a system where it's like in the morning I do self-development myself, which I think is really important. Things like falling on me.
Oh, good.
Honestly, someone had to hold it.
You can keep it down there. It's fine.
Can you hear me?
Maybe pull it up a little bit, but yeah, it's not bad. That's fine.
But anyways, so we do a system. Well, I do self-development every morning anyways. So I just post what I'm learning into the chat and I make them all give me feedback. That's another iteration of things because what I found is if they don't have to actually do anything, they just won't do it.
Yeah.
Until you ask them, they're like, oh, I didn't get a chance to watch it. I'm like, it's 30 seconds. Watch the video.
Yeah.
So
the training starts 30 minutes before huddle.
yeah, so it's 30 minutes before
at some point.
huddle. I'll give them a video. Typically, it's like 30 seconds to 2 minutes, like a short typically.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I do a long form. That's when you really get them because they think it's going to be 30 seconds. So they watch it like 9:28, and I'm like, it's a 30-minute video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, you're done.
Come on
So,
now.
we do self-development into intentions for the day. So what they plan on actually doing, not a goal, not what they want to do, what they actually are going to do. And that's the biggest hurdle for some people because they're like, well, I want to do this many calls today. I'm like, it doesn't matter what you want. What are you going to achieve today? Are you going to get a close? Yes or no? Because if you're going to get a close and your intention's to close, don't get off the day without getting a close.
Yep.
And so a lot of people will be like, well, I want to get a close and 6 demos. I'm like, you have nothing on your calendar today. Don't put that as your intention.
Quick rapid fire on situations where I'm late to huddle and I'm 5 minutes late to huddle. What happens?
Just don't get a let in.
I don't hit my KPI for the day. What do you do?
Have a conversation of why. I see why, and if it's a valid excuse. I mean, people have valid excuses, but just because it's valid doesn't mean there isn't a way around it, typically. And so I will ask them if there was a certain situation with it, and then I will give them a warning. And then the next time, if it's the same concept, if there's no real reason, I'll give them a warning. I'll explain the reason why it's important. And then if they don't do it again, they'll be off.
Yeah. I don't feel well. Do I have to keep working?
No, I mean, it's a fine line with that stuff because you can't really tell someone they're not sick. So for me, being sick is different for someone else. I'll still work. Even if I'm throwing up and stuff, I'll still have the computer on and I'll be fine. But typically what we say is either be on or be off. So you can be off as many times as you want to. It just affects your performance and, your results. And if you're off too many times, then you're just not valuable to the company, which is cool. But the main thing is either be on or be off. Don't take a half day. It just never works.
What if somebody doesn't close a deal that they should have closed? How do you handle that?
So we have a system where our closers record everything, and they also give feedback of what they think happened every single meeting they have. And so I'll look at that, and if I see a red flag, if I see like, hey, we didn't close a deal, like they're like, hey, he needed to think about it. Hey, he needed to go talk to his wife. Hey, he's having surgery next week. Or, whatever it is, I will go, if it's a red flag, I'll go watch the video and see, and I'll give feedback to it. And if it's an actual concern, like it's like, this should have been taken care of, I'll go talk to the closer. We have a meeting every single week. But typically, I'll just talk to them the same day and ask them why. Why they handled it that way and see if they had like a misconception or something. And then I'll just make sure it's aligned with what we want to do.
Beautiful.
Show them what to do.
I love it. What else, man? Is there anything else that, you can share that you think, because I think a lot of people watching this, they're one of two people. They're a business owner who is interested in what we do, or they're a potential digital closer. Is there anything valuable that you could share for either one of those? It's not a specific question. Is there anything on your heart that you have a lot of experience? So again, you've been doing this for over 3 years. If you include back, probably 4.
Yeah.
People don't understand internet years are different.
Yeah, they are.
I was talking to somebody earlier. Internet years are freaking different. A month is a year. So I would say it feels like you've probably been in this thing for a decade. But what piece of advice do you have, or do you have anything?
It's a good question. As far as like, I guess just in the form of someone new coming in.
Yeah, new, or it could be just like, what is there like something that you've had to, and we've touched on a lot of it, but is there something that you had to grow, something that you've really taken over the last few years and just like, dang, taken and implemented? It's been like your theme for like almost like your motif or your, I don't know.
Yeah.
Word of wisdom.
I would say like there's a few different things. There's a few things I notice I do specifically, which I think led to my success.
Yeah.
Which is the first thing is I'm not driven based off money.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and you can hear it very easily, especially when you manage teams. If people are concerned about how much they're getting paid before they do something, they're probably motivated by the money, where I'm not. So like I'll just do things and then I'll be like, it doesn't really matter. Like it'll come back. If you do the right things over and over and over again, you'll get rewarded for it unless you're with bad people.
Yeah.
But then I'll just say don't work with bad people.
Yeah.
So that's like the main thing of if you're coming into it and on both sides, like a business or you want to lead with service is like what we like to say. Like so you lead with service first and then you'll get rewarded in the back end somehow.
I love that.
Typically, as far as the business goes, side of things go, I would say don't get stagnant. It's hard. That's like recently, we kind of hit like a little bit of like a lull on things where it's like I'm not quite sure why we're almost. It's like what you like
Yeah.
almost there. Like there's one or two things we're doing incorrectly. Can't quite figure it out, and so I kind of just went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure it out. I think it kind of clicked, and we both know what it is. But it's now it's about like actually putting it together and like remembering if you're a business, it's not about maintaining what you're doing currently, because if you go for maintenance, you always go lower.
Yeah.
So you have to do something to build something more and more and more, even if it sucks.
I love
to
that.
do. Like it's not fun.
I love it. I'm a prospect. We get to the end of the call. What is the importance of me having emotion? My objection is pretty much, yeah, I'm nervous. I'm scared. What's the importance of me having that?
Yeah.
At the end, I'm a prospect.
Yeah.
I'm about to sign up with you. Why is that important?
It's important to have emotion after you've logically solved everything.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will be like, well, you can logically close. I know Alex Mosey's really big with everything. I know he's a big influence with what we do too. And he always does logic closes or reason closes. I think that works really well with businesses because they kind of are a little bit more seasoned risk takers. Whereas with B2C specifically, they need a lot of emotion. I like to compare it to cliff jumping.
Yeah.
So like you can logically know and you can solve everything and know that you're going to survive this cliff jump most likely. Like there's always like the odd, ends that you don't. Something happens, you hit a rock, whatever.
A rock magically appears at the bottom of the cliff.
A random manatee floats up, land on it. But so you can logically tell yourself that you're good to go, and you can go back the next day like, hey, you could even throw in the think about it like for a day. Hey, I just always think about things, make sure I have no emotion. Totally. Go back, think about it, come back. The cliff's still there, right? Cool. Tide hasn't changed. Everyone knows that it's good. Your friend maybe has jumped off the cliff before, and you've seen people jump off.
It's safe.
Yeah, all good, logically good. Then you get up at the cliff and you look down, it's 50 feet, and you're scared. That same fear that you felt right then is going to be the same fear tomorrow. It doesn't matter. It's the exact same thing. So I don't think it's in someone's best interest to take away emotion from a risk-taking decision.
To go home and think about it.
Yeah.
You're still going to,
just in general, like, because if you take away emotion from a risk-taking procedure, whatever it is, like go buying clothes, that's not risky. It's different. Go home. If you're not emotionally involved with it, don't get it. But if you're going to jump off a cliff, you're going to have the same emotion tomorrow as today. If you go skydiving, if you're up in a plane and you don't do it, next time you go up in a plane, you're still not going to do it. It's the exact same fear. Never goes away.
What's on the other side of the jump?
The other side of the jump is usually a free fall. And you don't
best things in life.
Yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. So if you have a mentorship, the reason why I like emotion so much with this, because you can have this emotion, you can jump off the cliff because you already know it's good, and you need that emotion to shove you off, and then there's someone there with you. There's someone jumping with you. They can hold your hand. They can show you what's at the bottom. There's really only a couple things at the bottom. There's either going to be a dirt floor and you actually hit your ground and you were wrong logically, or
logically you are in fact wrong.
Yeah.
You did not pack your parachute the correct way. It's not coming out.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, there's the water's there. You land, you're good. You have the time of your life. So if you're jumping off the cliff, you should logically, it should make sense. And if there's no reason for you not to do it, you want to use that emotion to go ahead and shove yourself off.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Can you beat me in pickleball?
Yes.
Can you guard me?
Well, I can't be guarded. Are you guarding me?
Can you guard me?
No.
Hell no.
No.
Hell no.
Easy.
Nick, thank you for coming, bro. I appreciate you. You took a lot of time out of your production. How long has it been? An hour maybe? 35, 40 minutes? An hour? Damn, that felt fast. That was a vibe. You had some great stories. I want to get you back on again because there's so much more to Nick Buck and his value to you. You're right here. I'm act like I'm talking to the camera. Your value to the company, bro, has been unmeasurable. More than that, you're my best friend. I love you. I'm thankful to have you. And guys, another YCGM podcast where no place, no thing, no one can stop you from being who you want to be. Nick Buck, let's clap it up, baby.
Boom.
Let's go. Give me a clap.
Clap, Maverick.
Maverick, come on.
Clap, Maverick. Come on,
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good night.
That's it.